You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on a Thursday, as it is time to fully turn that page and focus on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ratbirds.
It's about that time, yeah.
The Purple People. Although I guess that's still associated with the Vikings because of history there. But you get what I'm saying. It's a big day today. We'll talk to Bob Labriola. We got a big Thursday night game tonight to talk about
huge.
A little bit more.
Basically an elimination match.
Before we get out of here, it absolutely is. And we are going to deep dive into Matt's stats, as we like to do on Thursdays as well, to kind of set the scene, set the tone, begin to paint the picture for Steelers and Ravens on Sunday. But before we jump there, Matt, there is some kind of NFL news of the day that I want to run by with you. We do this, I'd say maybe 50% of the time to start shows. You know, kind of
whatever's topical.
You know, front page of the sports page type stuff. And this one to me it won't grab a lot of headlines today in this time of year. But this is pretty significant for the National Football League moving forward. The NFL and the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association, have agreed to a new model for selecting playing surfaces in stadiums, one that will require every team to choose from an improved set of manufacturers and styles for both natural and synthetic fields. The policy, teams are supposed to begin to replace their surfaces for 2026, but must be required to do so to have the approved fields by 2028.
Okay. I think that's huge.
I think that
and long overdue.
Long overdue.
Long overdue.
And, you know, we've had conversations forever about some of these, you know, places like MetLife and whatever they call where the Commanders play now. And, how notoriously bad those places are, how many knee and ankle and Achilles and ligament injuries happen.
Sure.
I'm with you. For a billion-dollar entertainment product, multi-billion-dollar entertainment business, this seems like something that should have probably been mandated a while ago, but I think it's about time for this to happen now.
Yeah, I think it's long overdue for two reasons. First off, I think it's a better product. It's more fun to watch than, I'll use a recent example, when Boswell, you know, his footing's terrible, so you don't get the maximum product from a great athlete or a great football play or whatever. Now, we know sometimes this weather's going to screw things up. I mean, like, it's never going to be perfect.
It's an outdoor sport.
It's an outdoor sport.
Takes a lot of games in November and December and January.
And Chicago and and Cleveland. I mean, like, it's going to be rough on growing grass and whatnot.
Sure.
But they have the money. I mean, we know that. And the NFL's greatest asset, I guess we could argue this, but is their players. So protect them better. You know what I mean? Less ankles than knees. And you don't want Saquon or Justin Jefferson.
What happened to Malik Neighbors a couple months ago?
Yeah, right. I wonder how many injuries could have been prevented over the last decade with better surfaces.
There's a couple that popped to mind right away. Like, you know, that Malik Neighbors one.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson all those years ago at what was FedEx Field at the time. Again, whatever, they change the name every year of where the Commanders play there now. But so I think it makes a ton of sense. You're right. I mean, those are their greatest assets, and injuries are still going to happen. It's the National Football League. It's as big a part of football as blocking and tackling, as Mike Tomlin likes to say a couple times a year.
But even a guy running around edge off tackle and he slips. Like, I don't want to see that.
No.
Or defensive back slips and a guy catches an easy touchdown, you know?
Kind of the parallel to draw, I think, is there's the same kind of parameters for players in the helmets that they're allowed to wear.
Right. It's a great way of looking at it.
NFL players are allowed to pick their own helmet, but within certain parameters.
These are your choices.
You have to, they have to pass so many baselines to be available as a choice. I think that it's kind of a similar type thing here. You'll still have some wiggle room. Do you want to go natural grass? Do you want to go turf? Synthetic.
There's 3 different companies you can call and get estimates.
Different companies you can call and get estimates and what type of grass they're going to use and what type of this and that they're going to use, just like you can for helmets. So there's still some wiggle room for personal decision there, but it's within the guidelines that are acceptable, and a league-wide standard across the board. Makes a ton of sense.
Makes a ton of sense. And I assume this, like the Steelers field crew and maintenance staff that does all that work at Latrobe, and we analyze it while we're on the air and stuff. It's not. I mean, they would still do the same amount of work. It's just maybe guidelines would be different. You know, like you kept. I don't know. I'm really talking out of my butt here, but like you got to cut the grass a certain way,
sure,
or you know, it's going to be the
certain seed that you have to use, or it's
drainage is different, or whatever. Right?
Like you remember, this was we've talked about this before. A lot of times it'd be like in the past. It would be like, I remember this like it was yesterday. 20 years ago, those electric USC teams that had Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush.
Oh, yeah, they were fast. Yeah.
Every time they'd go somewhere like Notre Dame where it was natural grass, they'd complain. Pete Carroll would complain and be like, that grass should have been cut, a week ago. Like they had the grass so long, it's trying to slow us down.
We're not mowing that for 3 weeks because USC's coming to town in a month. Right, yeah.
And like Tunch and Wolf used to tell similar stories about like when Earl Campbell would come to town, and you wanted to flood the Houston Oilers came to town in January, and so we sprayed some extra water on the grass to make it nice and slick and icy.
The best one is
Houston.
Maybe we'll even ask Labs about it. Is Raiders come here for a playoff game? Might even been an AFC Championship, mid '70s, and who knows how it happened, but the tarp was only on the middle of the field. So outside the numbers was all ice. And, our lovely friends from the South Side, well, it's the same for both, guys.
Yeah.
And Al Davis is like, we have Clifford Branch. We throw deep all the time. That's not the same. And I'm going to side with Mr. Davis on that one.
Fantastic. I do love those old-timey stories, but
right.
in 2020...
Like that wouldn't fly nowadays.
In 2025 and
AstroTurf, right.
December, right? It's basically 2026 here. You got to have some type of standards, and I think in the same parameters with a helmet, you have some wiggle room to choose, but it has to be under set guidelines. Mm-hmm. I think it makes a ton of sense, and it's overdue.
So the two other points I have, again, this is a long time ago, and it's gotten way better, but like my Pitt days, we played Temple, and that was the same field the Eagles had, which was the worst in the league at the time because it was.
Was this at the end of the vet days?
Yeah,
and terrible.
It was described to me, and it felt like this when you walked on the field. I wasn't a player, but I was out there, and it didn't feel like any other field we'd been on. It was cement with a little bit of carpet over it, and there was weird seams where they sewed it together, like someone's grandma sewed it together or whatever is what it felt like. There was bumps.
They brought in Meemaw from Levittown,
exactly,
to sew up the 30-yard line.
And there's a million injuries on those fields. Like we can't have this. Right. Not to mention, if I was a player, I wouldn't go play for the Eagles if I have a choice.
Absolutely. And
my other question too is. The overseas stuff, we're seeing more and more and more of it.
That's a good question.
I don't know. I'm sure they have some kind of parameters, but the fields are built for smaller people. They're from all over the world. They're different climates. That always worries me overseas. And now we got more and more foreign games, I
agree with you on that. The one nice benefit of that, though, is it's all natural grass.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do...
And usually weather's not an issue.
Professional soccer players will not play on anything that's not real grass.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe it ties this all together. Interesting timing with this announcement being made when so many of these NFL stadiums that are hosting the World Cup in June and July in the United States have to tear up their synthetic field and put real grass down. So
that's happening no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
MetLife is hosting the World Cup final and I think a couple other games.
Yeah.
It was mandated, if you're going to be the host site, you have to rip up you have to rip up your turf and put in real grass or we're not playing games there.
Okay. Because no soccer player plays on.
No soccer player. You think Messi, is going to.
Yeah.
Like
it'd be like a baseball field that's AstroTurf now.
Exactly right. Exactly. They do not play on.
We don't do that.
They don't do that in that sport in those countries. They don't even consider it. It's not even in the realm of possibilities.
Okay.
And so that was one of the big kickers of the United States and probably, I would imagine, the Canada sites, too, because I think Mexico is probably already on board with that.
Yeah,
but, it's United States, Canada, and Mexico that are hosting the World Cup.
I would think most Canadian football stadiums are
absolutely,
synthetic.
Especially with the weather they get.
Right.
That was kind of like one of the big first things was like, if you're going to get approved to host the World Cup, all the places that are synthetic turf, you're ripping it out and you're putting in real grass for the World Cup. And the United States was like,
totally
okay.
adds up. Okay, yeah.
But then MetLife was like, and then we'll go right back to our turf. And it's like, come on, man. Like,
yeah.
So at least this is, again, I think it raises the floor for what's required, and that's realistically about what is fair to ask for.
Oh, yeah. Again, everything should be regulated that ever touches a player, period. You know what I mean? The medications, the shoes, the helmets, as you mentioned, the pads, everything. Right. The jerseys are all the same. I mean, yeah, as safe as possible.
As safe as possible.
Highest quality as possible.
Goes a long way. I'm with you on that, and so I like this by the NFL and the NFLPA. It'll take a full couple, like one.
Yeah, you can't just ask a team to like, hey, have this done by Sunday.
Here's the 3 suppliers you can choose from. Bid that thing out and get it done on Sunday. But it's nice that it starts to go into effect next year and has to be done by 2028.
Okay.
So, like a 1 to 3 year window, if you will.
I'm sure I know your opinion on this, considering the college I'm going to reference. But I wonder, is the next step, are they going to say, hey, you can't have a college game on this field the night before?
That's an interesting one.
Like if we take it another step forward, and just field quality.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't love it from a Steeler perspective that they share with another. Right.
Like I don't know how gung-ho the Eagles are about Temple using that facility.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how stoked the Dolphins are, although the U might be bigger than Miami than the Dolphins, that they share, ever since they demolished the Rose Bowl 10 years ago or whatever that was. It's an interesting question.
Right, like, could that be the next step? If we're going to take field quality, then don't play on it the year. I mean, WPIALs.
I think WPIALs Acrisure, part of me, is like only one of 2 or 3 stadiums that hosts high school games regularly.
At all, right.
Yeah.
And that's 4 of them on a Saturday all day.
Sure.
I mean, it beats it up. It's not the same as an NFL game how it beats it up.
I think especially for the grass surfaces.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 1,000%.
Like this Saturday, the Big 12 championship is at Jerry World at the Cowboys Stadium.
They won the difference.
It's not real grass, so does that really matter? But it's an interesting point where, like, you can only have so many games in such an allotted time if it's a real grass surface.
Or I need 4 days with no one on this field before I can play an NFL game.
Sure.
Or whatever
because it's not a bunch, but I know it's happened twice because it just did this past weekend, and then it did before that. Who did the Steelers host before Chicago? Who did we have in town before Chicago? Was that the Colts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that the same weekend that Pitt played Notre Dame, and then this past weekend Pitt played Miami. So it's happened twice recently, and then maybe once at the beginning. So it's only 2 or 3 times the whole year. Like,
I know it doesn't happen a ton, right? And Pitt season's almost over, and it won't affect playoffs or
right. But that's a very interesting point where, like, hey, if we're gonna have
that
all
hurts
these
field quality, I don't know.
Yeah, very interesting, very very interesting.
No, but I think this is good news. I think this makes the product better.
The field surface better, overall product better for performance and for safety. And again, $1 billion entertainment business. That's what you're looking for. That's raise the floor of the product, I think, is what you do.
Yeah. I don't want to be like, man, this game's not up to standard because people are slipping all over the place.
Right. And that's not typically a seismic issue, but it still has been an issue from time to time.
Yeah.
And again, like, people love to rip on how bad the MetLife surface is. People love to rip on how bad the Commander surface. They talk about these things all the time.
I'm sure it's just public knowledge amongst players, right?
I don't think SoFi has, as much as it is an incredible stadium, I don't think its turf has the best reputation for being, maybe
it's just an off-brand or not one of these ones that are check the box, right?
Sure. And so again, you and I, we're not going to pretend like we, went to college for turf management or anything like that, but
I think it's worth bringing up, though.
I think definitely worth bringing up, and a pretty, what I would call good and positive kind of news story of the day to get us rolling here. Plenty more to get into. We're going to get into Matt's stats. We've also got some other kind of news and notables around the league that we will discuss as we roll along as well. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, just getting started here on a Thursday. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt, I do want to jump into your stats packet here momentarily for the kind of back half of this first hour.
Should be on Steelers.com shortly, I assume, if it's not by now. It's usually right around now on Thursdays.
You got to love it. I mean, Matt Williamson published
Everyone
author.
can check it out. Yeah.
No big deal. I mean, you're just cranking out 4,000 word stories every week. Look at you.
Stories is a strong word for that. Bullet points.
You're painting a heck of a picture, though. I'll give you that. A couple more things here, kind of news and notables that I wanted to just kick around with you before we get to the stat packet. Darius Slay has been claimed.
Right.
By a team that's in the playoff hunt, in the playoff picture, in a good position, the Buffalo Bills. But Darius Slay, via his agent Drew Rosenhaus, is unsure whether he wants to continue playing and will not be reporting to Buffalo. Via Drew Rosenhaus, and I quote, Slay is honored that a first-class organization like the Bills claimed him, but he is going to take some time away from football right now and decide in the next few days if he wants to keep playing, end quote. Of course, Slay, the 34-year-old, was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers on Tuesday.
I don't have a ton to react. I mean, it makes you wonder how much his heart's been in it all year or the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, there's that old saying, which I half believe, that if you're thinking about your retirement, you're retired.
I was just thinking that same thing.
Know.
I think there is some truth to that.
I mean, he watches his own tape, too, and has to realize I'm not the player I used to be. I mean, it happens to everybody.
I think football is one of those things, it requires so much of you. It's so violent. Yeah. It's so aggressive. It's so detail-oriented from a study standpoint that, like, you can't sit on a fence. You can't.
I think that's 1,000%.
You can't half backside it, as some people would like to say.
I mean, if Derrick Henry's plowing at me outside the numbers and I'm not super interested in putting my shoulder into him, getting him down, like that goes on tape for everybody, and that's part of my legacy, and everybody knows that stuff, If
you're not gung-ho about reporting to a Super Bowl contender with a quarterback like that on a Wednesday.
I was wondering, was he hoping to get claimed by somebody else and just doesn't want to go to Buffalo? I'm like, that's a pretty good spot.
Pretty good landing spot. It's a playoff team, legit contender, legit unicorn quarterback. And if on a Wednesday he's unsure if he wants to continue, I can't imagine by Saturday he's going to suddenly
I'm psyched.
Feel better. And
Right.
I'm sure he's beat up. He's 34 years old. I mean, been strapping on the pads since July back in Latrobe.
Oh, yeah. And last year he played as many games as you possibly can. Played
a lot of games over the last few years with the Eagles.
Right.
Had a ton of success. And maybe part of it is like I just kind of picked up and moved across the state of Pennsylvania a few months ago with my wife and our kids. Like, do I want to go relocate to Buffalo for the next couple months?
Yeah. It's not that I know anything or implying anything, but we don't know what's going on in all these guys' personal lives, too. Like, his kids might be like, Dad, I don't want to move again, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if he has kids.
We don't want you to be gone up by Buffalo by yourself for the next 2 months.
Right. I don't even know if he has kids, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like,
I know he's married. I think he does, but that's actually.
And he has money in the bank. We know that.
He has made a nice career earnings for himself. That is for sure. Matt, Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter ruled out for Monday Night Football game against the Chargers after a procedure this past Monday on both shoulders.
Yeah, I think that's only a 1 week absence. That always blows me away. That always happens a couple times a year where someone will get a procedure
on both shoulders.
Right, which must be bad because it means he couldn't wait till postseason.
Which makes me think, is he just suddenly going to week off and he'll be good to go?
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's an IR thing. Nobody's implying that from the headlines I saw.
But that's a big loss for Philly.
Oh, he's a tremendous player. Yeah,
at a time where they're kind of reeling and needing things to go in the right direction.
Yeah, they probably win the division either way, but things aren't great right now.
No, and from an AFC playoff picture standpoint, it would really help a lot of people out if they could beat the Chargers on Monday night.
Oh, I was wondering, who do they play?
But but that task will get a little bit more difficult without Jalen Carter. We will.
It does amaze me. Sometimes these guys only miss a game.
It's crazy.
I mean, the Singleton, the linebacker for the Broncos, had testicular cancer surgery and missed like 2 weeks.
It was back in like 12 days.
Right. Like, what are we talking about here?
Tony, I'll never forget, and I'm not a big fan of his, as you just kind of alluded to because of his alma mater, Tony Saragusa. Like, I remember one time they thought he was paralyzed in the middle of the game, and he was back out there in the second half.
Yeah, we are.
It's like, good Lord.
It's nuts, yeah. No, but some of these procedures and surgeries guys have, they miss a week or two. It's like, wow.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. One of
they're not like you and I, by the way.
Actually, funny enough, bringing up Tony Saragusa, Ravens Week, I produced Tunch and Wolf's show. God rest their souls, love those guys for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I would produce their morning show, and then Moats and I would be on in the afternoons.
Right.
Every Ravens week, every year, Craig Wolfley would tell the story about Tony Saragusa doing the interview ahead of Steelers-Ravens, where he told Baltimore fans, if you see anybody wearing black and gold, follow them into the bathroom and take care of business. Beat them up. There's no cameras in the bathroom.
That's great.
Wolf used to love to tell that story. Like, Goose is talking, and he's like, if you see anybody wearing black and gold, follow them into the bathroom and kick their butt. And they got no cameras in the bathroom, and don't let those terrible towels into our stadium. Wolf would have told that story at some point this week, much better than I just did.
Meanwhile, if the Steelers would have drafted him instead of the Ravens out of Pitt,
he'd be one of the most, he'd be like an iconic.
Right? Yeah.
They'd still be selling his mug on T-shirts down in the Strip District. Matt, speaking of Baltimore, and as we kind of start to transition and talk about the Ravens here and dive into Matt's stats,
but yeah.
Some news of the day, just gave Mark Andrews
I was shocked to see that.
Year extension. Same here. Worth $39.3 million. Includes $26 million guaranteed. 30 years old, was in the last couple months here of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's outstanding. I think he's had a great career, but that's big money and nice term to give a 30-year-old at kind of this stage of his career.
Last I saw, the contract exact details of where the money's at is not exactly been released. I mean, that's from the agent saying, look at all the money I got for my player.
Sure.
Like, can they get out of it after a year or two? I bet
all
they
the guaranteed
can.
money's front loaded, and
that I don't know. But he was like getting death threats and egg his house, and after that drop, which is nuts, people. By the way,
crazy.
Yeah, that stuff's wrong. But there was a lot of talk that he might even get traded this offseason because they have Kohler, they draft tight ends left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a reasonably big cap hit.
Was coming off of despite that blunder in the playoffs, was coming off of a great season last year.
Yeah. And I think there's reason to think he's declining a little. Like in the stat pack, there's a couple things like his average depth of target and some of his numbers are a little down, but so are the entire offenses. But I think
that's the toughest thing to judge for me.
Yeah.
Is he down, or is it just the entire offense is down?
Everybody.
Maybe a little bit of both.
I think that's 100% true. But I think when he's remembered, he's going to go down as like a Ring of Honor type guy.
Hall of really good.
Yeah. Like one of the best Ravens, him and Todd Heap, and, it's like.
Oh, he's been an outstanding player for a long time.
Outstanding player. And they still feature him heavily in the red zone. He still catches a lot of touchdowns. And I guarantee Lamar put his stamp on this too, because he's been they were drafted the same year.
It's been his Whoopie.
He's been his Whoopie every step of the way. Yeah.
It's like, this is my guy. I don't want him going anywhere.
And what's crazy is that draft year for them, they drafted a tight end before Lamar in the round one, and then they took Andrews a couple years.
Who was that they took?
Why am I forgetting off the top of my head? Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst.
Right. He was a Pirate prospect for a while. He was like a 26-year-old dude. And he may even still be in the league. I don't think he is, but whatever. He wasn't horrible. But then they end up doubling down with Andrews in the third or fourth round, and that ends up being Lamar's guy, And Lamar wasn't even their first round pick that year.
Right. They traded back in to the end of the first round to get him, and what ended up being a nice coup for the Baltimore Ravens, certainly. Let's talk about that actually a little bit. Let's stay there. Matt, I do not like we yesterday discussed a little bit how from again, billion-dollar entertainment business.
Yeah.
How it's brilliant in that regard. But I do not like how all these division games now are like sandwiched at the end of the season, and for the drama and for the attention and the tiebreakers and all that, particularly as it relates to the Ravens, because one Lamar Jackson is pretty stinking good in the month of December.
So is Henry. Yeah. Yes. They both have some very distinguished numbers. Side note, too, we talked about this a week ago with Josh Allen. We were talking about Tomlin off a loss, how good he's been.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen off a loss, how good he's been. Well, Lamar is one of the only guys better than Allen. It's Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar, the best three ever quarterback win percentage off a loss. And Lamar's number one. And his record, once December hits, regular season.
It's insane.
It's insane. Derrick Henry's numbers late in the regular season are insane. Like, he doesn't wear down. Defenses do, and he just punishes, just like he does the end of games. So that's a good point. Like, when the schedule comes out next year, maybe it'd be nice to have one Raven game in October and then one in December. You know, right?
I'd love to go to the Inner Harbor in September.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure it's lovely that time of year.
I bet it's nicer. Yeah.
Much different than when I'm going to be there on Saturday and I'll step outside of the hotel and it's like whoosh, like a gust of wind coming on, cold December wind coming off the water there in the Inner Harbor. Lamar outstanding in the month of December. So is Derrick Henry, but his December record, as you mentioned, is one of the best in the history of the National Football League. So that's something.
That kind of stuff can't be a fluke.
It's not.
It's not. The organization figures things out as it goes along well, too.
If it's maybe your third year in the league, you could say it's a fluke.
You played 12 games.
But at this point, when you've been in the league for 8 years or whatever he has, there's a large enough sample size there to prove that it's a trend and it's something that they do well.
And even these past 2 years passed a sniff test because they made their bye week both years. Made some drastic changes, particularly on defense. And it worked. You know, like they figure things out as the season goes along pretty well.
Yes.
As an organization, it's a Harbaugh thing, too.
I think that's very well said. And, okay, so some people might hear that and they might go, all right, but this is not the same Ravens team. They haven't been nearly as impressive. They haven't been nearly as good.
It's not the same Lamar.
It's not the same Lamar. He hasn't been nearly as impressive, nearly as good. I will allow you that grain of salt. Fine. So if that doesn't concern you, this, I think, certainly should, or at least it does me. Matt, I know this is something in your stat packet. The Baltimore Ravens' third quarter success this season.
Oh, this is troubling.
And we've talked plenty.
Some of this second half stuff.
We've talked plenty about how the Steelers have struggled in the third quarter, struggled out of halftime when that was such a strength for the team in 2024. That better not be the case on Sunday because Baltimore's been really good in the third quarter and the Steelers have really struggled in the third quarter. And doesn't Baltimore have the most points scored on average in the third quarter across the entire NFL right now?
Yeah, I think they're number one in points scored in third quarter.
Like over a touchdown average they score.
I think they're like at 8 or 9
in the third quarter. The Steelers have really struggled in that department.
Right.
That's something that I'm a little concerned about is, hey, maybe it's a 4-point game, 3-point game, something like that at half like we've seen, but then all of a sudden in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, here come the Ravens.
Yeah, and it's not as true this year because they haven't had as good a year, but the Ravens and Eagles over the last couple of years, while both those teams have been really, really good, when they have a halftime lead too, they bury you.
Because they can just run and lean on you. And
a lot of it they throw in the first half to run in the second half, and they just put the clamps on you like the coward teams used to, you know. Now, I don't think this team's as dominant, nor the Eagles for that matter, is dominant in that regard. But that's what they want to do, and that's what they're built to do. You know, you're going to get a lot of Ricard and extra tight ends and Henry, and you know, right. That gets old.
It does. It's more difficult to do when Lamar isn't clearly 100% healthy and not the same rushing threat that he has been in the past. But again, still, that number is from this. That's not a Lamar career thing. That's a 2025 thing.
Best in the league.
Best in the league in the third quarter so far this season. So those were.
So if you won the toss, would you rather maybe get in? Yeah. Does it change your tune? Almost every team takes it in the second half. I think you just do what you do. You know, whatever.
I still like the Steelers taking it in the second half.
Yeah.
They've had the lead in that position so many times, getting the ball back. That's a great place to be.
But you laid it out the other day.
Haven't been able to take advantage of it.
I mean, those 6 drives that they've started the second half with the football have all gone really bad.
Really bad.
Now, that's only 6 drives. But
it is.
You know, it was 4 punts.
4 punts, I think a turnover and a turnover on downs.
4 punts, an interception, and the Bosa fumble for a touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So those things.
So they've not had a successful drive when getting the ball coming out of the second half. That doesn't mean you can't. I mean, it's 6 times, but you know.
It's almost one of those things of like, I think you almost have to do or die. You almost have to sink or swim in that department.
Yeah.
And this so this is going to be.
I don't think throwing your defense back on the field is the answer.
No, this is going to be a really bad analogy, but I think it might land. It's the only kind of similar thing that I can think of. Wrestling, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking WWE. I'm talking like like real wrestling, college and high school and Olympic wrestling. You know how like a lot of times there's pauses in the match when the guys go out of the ring or whatever, and the ref like resets and one guy gets like the upper leverage on the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't quite understand how that happens.
It's like the scene in Grease with John Travolta's trying out for the wrestling team, and he's like, oh, let's see how you do it with a leg up, and the guy still flips him around in half of a second. It's like, I still want the leg up, even though it hasn't worked out for me.
Yeah, it doesn't mean...
If I'm a wrestler and my numbers are really bad when I get put in the advantage position, okay, well, I want to figure out how to change that. I don't want to all of a sudden not be in the advantage position just because I haven't been able to capitalize.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If I'm a golfer and I'm hitting the ball better out of the rough than I am the fairway, I still want to hit the ball out of the fairway. I just want to figure out how to hit it well out of the fairway.
Okay.
That's a better, easier analogy.
Yeah. You're going to play a third quarter against them either way,
Right. Right. If I can only hit a fastball and not a curveball, I better be figuring out how to hit the curveball instead of just hoping to get more fastballs.
Agreed. And I'm sure they're working on what are we doing wrong coming out of half. I'm sure it's on their mind.
And
I'm glad you brought that up because this team's a little scary from that department.
Scary from that department.
Yeah.
It worries me because of the Steelers' recent form in that regard. But I also do have some optimism because last year, 2024, they were so good there.
Yeah, again.
And it's
if you combine the 2 years,
it's the same coordinators. It's a largely very similar coaching staff, largely very similar roster.
Yeah.
Like if you're asking me of all the areas that they've really struggled that could turn around quickly, that might be the one that I would point out pretty early in the conversation.
I bring it up, I think, every show, but the second half stuff, to me, it all comes down to time of possession and running too many plays in terms of the defense.
Yeah. And there's a correlation there with how slow the offense has been out of the locker room as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, lately.
A lot of 3-and-outs.
Brutal.
And quick 3-and-outs, too. Like 3 incomplete passes and 20 seconds off the clock and you're off the field type thing.
All of a sudden, we got another 28 minutes to play.
Right. I want to get into some of Matt's specific numbers on both the Steelers and the Ravens as we continue to talk some stats, some analytics, setting the stage, setting the scene for Steelers-Ravens Sunday at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. We'll do that to close down the first hour, talk to our buddy Bob, talk to our buddy Bob Labriola in about 20 minutes from now as well. So plenty to get to here on The Drive. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Closing down the first hour here, and more Matt stats, more numbers. And Matt, let's get into it.
All right.
A lot of talk about going. Oh, pardon me. I just again, I can't.
Did you hiccup again?
No, not hiccup. It was just like a little burp. So TV brought me this outstanding, like craft root beer, like small batch homemade root beer.
Okay.
And it's really good, but I just slugged down like the second half of it, like 30 seconds before we came on air here, and just got the little carbonation burp there for a second. We're surviving. A lot of conversation this week about going under center for the offense, what it means for the run game, what it means for opposition defenses, all that stuff. Last week, all of Pittsburgh's running plays were out of shotgun or pistol.
Sure.
On the season, the Steelers running backs averaged 3.8 yards per carry out of shotgun or pistol, compared to 4.6 from under center. So nearly a yard difference per carry. That's substantial. Why is that? Paint the picture for us.
I'm not great with this, to be honest with you. I definitely think that backs get a better angle. I think linebackers get a better view of it all, seeing it there too, as opposed to getting a step or two before I get the football. I'm trying to think like a running back, as opposed to I'm basically flat-footed when I get the ball, as opposed to I'm starting to build momentum. Like Henry's the best example because that guy takes him a second or two to get to full speed.
Sure.
And, this is going to be a key for the Steelers, is getting some contact on him as early as possible.
Yeah.
He's a track runner. So I think that's part of it. I guarantee you offensive gurus could tell you, well, it's easier to pull my guard and blocking angles, this run play definitely works better out of it, all those things. But I do believe, and these numbers back it up, that under center runs to me are better. They just are. Now, I also think, and this bothers me a little bit with the Steelers offense lately, is they've really gotten away from play action.
That's where I was going next. Just 13.3% of their dropbacks, 6th lowest in the National Football League.
From what I remember doing the stat pack in like week 3, 4, they were in the top 10. Like they started
early
the
on,
season,
they started.
Yes,
like it was what we were calling for, and it was happening,
and it was happening, right? And I think it was very effective, from what I recall, just the numbers of it all. And I don't know why they got away from it. And I think there's studies that play action work is a cheat code no matter what. I half believe that. I don't think play action out of pistol or shotgun does that much for you. It's just not as convincing.
It's not as convincing.
It's just not as convincing,
But
I do think these two things.
The linebackers don't have to account for as much in that scenario.
Yeah, I just don't think you bite as hard.
Right, you're not doing the hold your water for an extra half second.
Right,
the wiggle room you're trying to get.
Yeah, you're watching the ball come in and out of the guy's stomach or whatever, But I think these two things correlate.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Also, and we don't know if Rodgers can go under center or not this week.
And that's a big.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do a smoke and mirrors thing, where if he's like struggling to go under center, first series of the game, have him do it a couple times, and then don't do it any of the rest of the way.
They think it's still in your.
Think it's still right.
In
still
your bag
a possibility.
Of tricks, yeah.
Matt, Steelers offense is actually 12th best in the league in rushing EPA, 10th best in rushing success rate.
Yeah.
Yet the Steelers are throwing the ball this year nearly 58% of the time, 13th highest in the National Football League. Direct correlation to the time of possession problem?
I think that, two things. I could understand what I wrote there if they were losing heavy on the scoreboard a bunch. They haven't been down heavy all that much this year. I mean, there's times in their losses where late in the game it's, especially this Bills game, we're in trouble here. We got to throw.
No doubt.
But it's for a 6-6 team, they have not been in many instances where you have to scrap the run. For a team that's lost half their games. I mean, every team gets in a 2-minute situation or whatever. I don't think they've had to been forced, to skew these numbers that strong to the pass for that reason. So, big thing that's been going through my noodle this week is
noodle.
Time of possession's a massive problem. We talk about this every 5 minutes.
We sound like a broken record, but it's because
I can't
it's true.
Stress it enough. So how do you fix it? Well, I mean, it's easy to say, get better at run defense.
Stop the run and you run the ball.
Yeah, but I think step one is at least run the ball a higher percentage of the time. And these numbers, which success rate is basically your consistency of it all, EPA factors in more explosiveness, and a big play weighs more than a little play, etc.
And those aren't top 5, but
they're not top 5.
You're 12th, you're 10th,
yeah.
You're 13th, you're above the average line.
Yeah, and I think there's been, especially lately in the season, much more room for optimism with the Steeler running game than how it started, too. Just watching the games,
totally with you on that.
It's getting better. It's getting better. So, assuming it's a close game and you can stick with it, run the ball at a higher percentage. Even like last year when they were on hot streaks, their run percentage was very high. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were with the Ravens and the Eagles and teams that are at the top of the league in percent of run plays.
They were, and I think we all thought that would drop a little bit with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, but not maybe as drastically as it has.
Yeah, but it just seems like to me that's step one of making life easier on your defense, getting the time possession stuff back to some sort of normalcy.
Completely agree, and I think especially this week, because we know how much the Steelers like the short passing game.
Right.
But that is, it has been a challenge already and could only get worse this week. Here's why. Matt, you actually referenced this, I think, in our opening segment, but I know it's something Ravens games last year, I know you and Dale talked about it. Moats and I talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout training camp this year when we would go around the AFC North and talk about some other teams in the division, this would pop up. Last year at the bye week, they essentially made drastic changes to their defense, and I think chief most amongst them, not the Kansas City Chiefs, was Kyle Hamilton moving back to kind of like a Minka Fitzpatrick, true free safety, center fielder, safety blanket for the defense.
Yeah. Let everyone else. I'll take one for the team here.
And it might not have best utilized his skill set, but for the greater good of the whole, it was obviously the right move and paid dividends, and they took off from there and, ended up winning the division and winning playoff game and all that stuff.
Right.
This year, it's been different. They've moved him closer to the line of scrimmage.
The total opposite.
Total opposite.
Yeah.
Which really showcases his versatility, by the way.
Right, just shows how awesome he is.
Very good player. The Steelers have the highest short pass rate in the league. And get this, since the Ravens moved Kyle Hamilton back closer to the line of scrimmage, their defense ranks number 1 in EPA on short passes allowed.
Yeah. I mean, Roquan carries a ton, covers a ton of ground, tracking that stuff down. If Hamilton's close to the line of scrimmage, phenomenal at it. Their corners tackle well. They don't have great edge pass rushers, but those guys can get out to the flats well, and they get a lot of bodies to the ball. So real quick, I'll just tell the story of the last 2 years of the Ravens D. Mm-hmm. So 2 off seasons ago, Seattle
lost
hires
their head coach to Seattle.
Yeah, they take the defense coordinator and he goes and leaves for Seattle.
Was the one who replaced Pete Carroll there a few years ago.
Yes, and good for him. And it's worked out great for Seattle.
Yeah, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
It might be the 1 seed.
But people, unless you're in Baltimore, might not have noticed, 2 other of their top assistants became defensive coordinators elsewhere. Like Weaver went to Miami and Tennessee stole a defensive backs coach or whatever. So they lost like their top 3
defensive minds. Yeah.
Right. So they promoted from within and I don't know if he's good or bad or whatever. But at their bye week last year, they went out and got some like senior advisors and brought some more people in the building to look at the defense. And that's when they made these huge changes. And the Ravens defense, again, this is 2024, before the bye week was a disaster. After the bye week
was one of the better units in the league. Yeah. I mean, it was a night and day type difference.
Yes. And this year's kind of similar. I think it correlates with their bye week, but it also correlates with a trade they made. So, first of all, I'll rewind a little bit. You mentioned how having Hamilton as your deep middle neuters him a little bit because, I mean, he's like the best blitzing safety in the league. He can take on guards. I mean, like, him near the line of scrimmage is a problem in a Polamalu-like way.
I was just going to say, not to that level, but same type of concept.
Yes. So they draft a safety in the first round. Didn't think safety was a huge need, but we want to maximize the firepower of Hamilton. Mm-hmm. So we take a safety in the first round. Starks, who's okay.
Malachi Starks from Georgia.
Yeah. But he wasn't the immediate fix that they needed. So they trade their best edge pass rusher, Owe, for Gilman, who's basically a true free safety. And immediately I thought, man, your pass rush stinks now. Why are you getting rid of
your best guy?
Your best guy in a Harbaugh trade with the Chargers. And since then, and their bye week, which might be the same week or a week or 2 apart, I can't remember, they've been much better on defense too for that reason. Now, their pass rush still isn't good. It wasn't good before the trade. It's not good now.
It's still a weakness.
But their thought process was, which is kind of smart, and they have a good secondary. They have a real good secondary. If we have a great secondary, we'll just blitz like crazy then. We're not getting home with 4.
We trust those guys to hold up in coverage for an extra 1 or 2 seconds.
If I can blitz Hamilton 4 more times because he's close to the line of scrimmage as opposed to deep middle where Gilman and Starks are going to handle now. And this team's in nickel all the time.
That makes up for my lack of Nada and Suggs on the defensive front.
I don't have the edge guy. I mean, I don't have the one-on-one beaters, but I'll dial stuff up and trust my corners and safety. Yeah, and for the most part, it's worked. Well, the defense as a whole is way better since those moves. So, I mean, give Harbaugh credit for.
I was going to say they deserve credit for that.
Yeah, getting out of your lane and doing something different.
They've kind of zigged and zagged when needed to over the last 2 seasons, and getting out of their lane, doing something different. Last year, it was moving Kyle Hamilton back, stabilizing the back end of that defense. Now it's getting him back up to the line of scrimmage and letting him cause some chaos, and he certainly has. And that's made them really good in the short pass game, like you mentioned, with the combination of Roquan Smith there as well.
Yeah, he's playing well again this year, too. Yeah.
Certainly something to keep an eye on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
We will get into more Matt stats in hour number 2, but when we return on the other side, we will lead off with the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears. Bob Labriola joins us when we return to kick off hour number 2. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. It is hour number 2 of The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson. And joining us now is Steelers historian, the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in his fears. It's the great Bob Labriola. Happy to have him back in the fold after we all took last Thursday off for a little Thanksgiving celebration. Labs, thank you for taking the time as always. And just bigger picture question for you here for us to get started. Steelers, Ravens. I mean, a lot of things have changed in football over the years in the 21st century. The way the game is played, the way the game is officiated, the calendar and the schedule of the league. A lot of these things have changed and evolved. But, man, it feels like every year, it doesn't matter if they're 14-win teams or if they're 6-6 teams, Steelers-Ravens is still Steelers-Ravens.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the way the game is played and the rules of the game. Well, you can trace that back to the 2008 AFC Championship.
Good call.
Game.
Yeah.
Because there's no question in my mind that as much as everyone in that press box loved that game, I think it scared the NFL. I really do. The violence. It was great to watch. But I mean, it was brutal. And, I think that a lot of what we see today now in terms of, the NFL, the way the game has changed, a lot of the player safety initiatives and what they have chosen to kind of, remove from the game, was because of the way the Steelers and Ravens played. Yeah, Steelers-Ravens is, I think that, in the future, people might look back on this rivalry and point to it as what I just said. This was the turning point. This was when, the whole concept of defenseless receivers, to me, came from this game. Ask Willis McGahee about that.
Yep.
I'm not, again, I can understand why that happened. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, protecting people's heads and, their future lives and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's very worthwhile endeavor. No, I mean it. That's not a sarcastic thing. But, I mean, I think you can definitely trace it to these two teams.
So, Labs, we were talking about field conditions in the first segment, and I half told the story of when the Raiders came here in the 70s. I was like 3 years old, and magically the middle of the field had gotten covered, but outside the numbers was all ice and Cliff Branch, and Al Davis wasn't happy with it. And when I was a very young lad, my parents and folks that taught me football told me, the Raiders is who you hate most, Matt. It's not the Browns. It's not the Bengals. It's the Raiders in the 70s. Has this rivalry surpassed Steelers-Raiders of the glory years?
Well, I mean, I think that
it's gone on longer.
And you're playing them every year, twice a year.
Yeah,
I mean, that rivalry with the Raiders was intense for a 5 or 6 year period. But even in all of those years, they didn't necessarily play every year in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Steelers-Ravens is twice a year. And,
sometimes more.
Yes, at least. At least twice a year. And, here's part of it, too. And I think a lot of times, people kind of forget this. The Steelers' biggest rival, maybe, in the history of the franchise, was against the Browns. As soon as the Browns came into the league, were admitted to the league in 1950 from the All-American Football Conference, the Steelers and the Browns played twice a year all the time, oftentimes more than that, because, back in those days, ticket sales, TV rights, TV broadcasting contracts were not what they are now in terms of the lucrative nature of them, the amounts that teams get from broadcast networks. And so selling tickets was huge. And there was the game that always sold out at Pitt Stadium for the Steelers was the Browns game. And in Cleveland, that big barn dump that they used to play in,
I knew that was coming.
That'd sell 86,000 tickets to that every year. And there were...
That's right, unheard of at the time.
Yeah, and, Art Modell and Art Rooney Sr. would have loved... They used to play some exhibition games. The Steelers and Browns would play an occasional exhibition game every now and then, and sometimes they would even do an exhibition doubleheader where there would be 4 teams and 2 games in the exhibition season, and they'd sell it out, 86, 88, whatever it is, thousand.
That's awesome.
And now split the proceeds, I assume, or
right? Yeah, the owners loved it because it made a lot of money, but the coaches of the teams did not because you don't want to be playing your most bitter rival 3 times a year, once that doesn't even count. So there was that. Now the Ravens are the Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say whatever you want about the Ravens, this, the Ravens, that. They're the Browns. They are Art Modell's team.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's laid a foundation for the hate that kind of germinated despite the move to Baltimore. So Steelers Ravens isn't something that just started in 1996 when the franchise, I won't say was founded because it wasn't a new franchise, but the first year in Baltimore, the inaugural season in Baltimore for the Ravens was 1996. Steelers Ravens was not born that year. That rivalry was born in 1950. So it's there's not a whole lot of love lost. I mean, Art Modell's team, Chuck Noll and Art Modell. Chuck Noll played for the Browns. He played for Paul Brown. Art Modell fired Paul Brown. There was all kinds of, if you want to go and try and dig around in the roots of the hatred, there's all kind of crossovers and, mixed marriages and, that kind of stuff going on between these two franchises over the course of their respective histories. So, I would say that, it was Steelers-Browns before it was ever Steelers-Ravens. Now, the games didn't have that kind of significance because the Steelers stunk, throughout most of that.
And the Browns were really good, right? I mean, that was Otto Graham and Jim Brown.
Because my mother's family was from Cleveland. And so her brother was a season ticket holder, and they used to play in Cleveland on Saturday night. Steelers at Cleveland on Saturday night.
So you have Cleveland blood in your veins.
Well, I mean, only in the sense
so did Stan Savran, and he was still one of our own, all right?
Right, because if anything, what that taught me, because I used to go to those games. My dad would put me on the Greyhound bus back when that was okay to do that for a kid.
Yeah.
And go there, and my uncle would meet me, and we'd go to the game Saturday, and I'd come back Sunday. I never saw them win there. Went to about 6 or 7 games. Never saw them win. And you sit there, and I was young, but I could learn to hate at a young age, and that's how that happens.
That's awesome.
So it was Browns Steelers way before it was ever Raiders Steelers, and then it just they just moved a little bit, the East and South, the Modell's team.
And it's so important that they both were so good at the same time. In recent memory,
Well, and here's another thing. Back when the merger, 1970 merger, because of the numbers that you had in the NFL and the numbers of teams in the AFL, they were merging. Well, you had to 3 teams had to move from the NFL to the what was going to become the AFC. And Art Rooney and Art Modell kind of got together and said, let's be a package deal. This way we can keep what we got going, going. So there was a lot of, again, it was competitive, bitter. There was hatred among the fan bases, but there was also a sense of shrewd business involved too, and dealing with the other team, was part of that good business. And the Steelers, Art Rooney and Modell at that point in 1970 were obviously good enough businessmen to realize that you can hate each other, but you kind of need each other, because that hate, that emotion, that emotion translates into good business.
It certainly does. We see that at all levels of football. You breed some hatred, some familiarity breeds contempt, and you get more butts in the seats, more eyeballs watching, more people engaged and involved. And Labs, for a long time, two mainstays of this rivalry, of course, have been the two head coaches on each sideline, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. They have played 37 times in the past. That's second most between two coaches in NFL history. Only George Halas and Curly Lambeau with more head-to-head matchups. How much is that a real factor in preparation in the 3 hours that play out on Sunday, Labs? We just saw the Steelers. You go against the Colts, it's Shane Steichen as the head coach for the first time. Bears, it's Ben Johnson for the first time. As opposed to a head coach now that you've seen nearly, 40 times if you're Mike Tomlin. How does that change things? How does that affect things?
I don't know. It's kind of I would imagine there aren't many surprises. Mm-hmm. When you're going against someone like that all that time, I would imagine each of those two men knows in terms of professionally, they have an intimate knowledge of each other. How could you not?
Oh, sure.
Because you have to, not only do you have to play them, but you kind of have to, when you're building your team or building your roster or whatever, you kind of have to think about, are these guys that we're adding are they going to have the right stuff for these kinds of games? I remember Mike Tomlin mentioning one time, this was 2010, Marquise Pouncey was he was a rookie. And, Pouncey, they played, Florida. The Gators were very good then. When he was in college, the Tim Tebow teams, they had a lot of bitter rivalries in the SEC and all that kind of stuff. And, Pouncey was told pretty much early on the first Ravens week, this ain't Tennessee. We're playing Sunday. I mean, you think, you played in rivalries. This is different. And it is. So I have seen, this has always been one of my points whenever on the pregame show or whatever, when we're talking about games around the NFL. And I believed this for years, and I still believe this now. If you see an NFL team that doesn't play the Ravens often, they cannot handle it.
Oh, yeah.
They cannot handle the intensity. They cannot handle the physicality, and they are behind right away. Not necessarily on the scoreboard, which may be the case as well, but in terms of, the battle of the hitting. They're taking more punches than they're throwing, and you cannot play them that way. You cannot. They know they can't play the Steelers that way. The Steelers know they cannot play the Ravens that way. And that's why, of all the other things that you can say about Steelers-Ravens, it ain't ever going to be flexed out of any time slots. Because I don't care, when they say you can throw out the records, this is one where, you can do that because they're going to go after each other. To me, one of the signature games of this rivalry was the regular season finale in 2003. The Steelers were out of it. The Ravens had their playoff.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, the Ravens had their playoff seeding set, and the Steelers go to Baltimore. Brian Billick was so He was more interested in inflicting punishment and embarrassment on.
Oh, no. Did we lose Labs right in the middle of his story?
I think so.
Labs, if you're still...
It's a good one, too.
Labs, can you hear us by chance? Oh, hold on. Let me try calling you back here real quick, partner. It is a great story. It's one that leads to the Steelers getting one of the most important pieces in franchise history just because of some pride from Brian Billick. Let's see if we can get Labs back here quickly. I think we got him.
Forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Not say it ain't so, Labs. All right, let's try one more time here. If not, I can tell the story, but it's not as good coming from me as it is from the great Bob Labriola. All right, here we go. I think we got
Forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Oh, no. Oh, we lost him.
We kept him a fair amount.
We did. Here's the story. Ravens already have their playoff spot sewn up in 2000.
Nothing to play for, right?
Nothing.
Not even like seeding.
No seeding, no nothing to play for. But Brian Billick goes, the Steelers stink. We're going to beat the crap out of them. We're going to roll some momentum into the playoffs and embarrass them in the process. That game plays out. It goes to overtime. Baltimore wins in overtime. With all their starters in Week 17 in a meaningless game.
Yeah.
Meaningless as it can be between Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
But it's a physical 5-quarter battle, yeah.
Because of that loss, the Steelers dropped down a few spots in the NFL draft. They would have been like 14th, ended up at 11th, I think it was.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history because that afforded the Pittsburgh Steelers the opportunity to draft one Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Not too shabby, huh? Not too shabby how that worked out. So...
Who went on to beat the Ravens many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
And once, famously, even in an AFC championship game where the Steelers went on to capture their record-setting 6th Super Bowl, baby, that 2008 nasty Armageddon AFC game that Labs referenced there. I got a text message in the group, and we were all talking about this. Our radio booth crew, Rob, Max, Missy, myself, Dan Quinlan, about how the Ravens, it's the 25th anniversary of their Super Bowl 2000 team.
Makes sense.
The Trent Dilfer team
Ray Lewis.
that beat that beat Kerry Collins and the Giants in the Super Bowl. One of the first Super Bowls that I was like 8 or 9, really vividly remember watching and remembering the details and all that. They're getting honored at halftime. That Ravens team for their 25th anniversary. We should go over and shake Brian Billick's hand. Hey, thanks for Ben Roethlisberger. That one worked out pretty well for us. And thanks to Bob Labriola for his time, kind enough to lend it to us as always. And yeah, it would have been much better for him to tell that story, but at least I kind of knew where he was going there and was able to color in some of the lines. Let's get to our first break of the second hour here. More Matt stats, more, we got to talk what we kind of do every week. We have to revisit explosive play differential, sack differential, turnover differential, some of that stuff that we've been tracking throughout the season. We'll do that and more when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. More Ravens and Steelers numbers and analytics, and we got to get to our differential conversation here that we've been tracking throughout the year. But we do have the Steelers Thursday practice report.
I'm curious about some stuff here.
First here, Matt. Let's get to that, as that is some pertinent news. Of course, Derek Harmon did not practice. He has already been ruled out for this upcoming contest. Mike Tomlin did that on Tuesday at his weekly press conference, told us that Derek Harmon would not playing, so not a lot of surprise there.
I think you're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry aimed in that general direction.
I think that is a safe bet.
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, if I were Mike Pursuta, I'd be putting some coin on that one for sure.
Yep.
Calvin Anderson did not practice today with a knee injury.
Okay.
Don't love to see that one, as you're a little thin in that regard, but
yeah,
did not practice.
I wonder when he got hurt.
I'm not sure. Good news, James Pierre, full participant today.
Good.
In practice. So I got to think that they'll wait and monitor him tomorrow, how he responds, all that. And that's one of those crazy things with concussions is
tomorrow could be worse, or you're right. But
I know a lot of athletes who deal with concussions. It's like you'll think, okay, I'm back, I'm good, and then you'll go out and you'll have a 2-hour practice, and then the next day you wake up feeling weird and dizzy and stuff again. So Obviously,
there is a strict protocol. Yeah,
not out of the woods.
But that's good step one.
But good step one and good sign for James Pierre. Dante Kent, who, of course, was activated this week in his 21-day window, did not practice with an ankle and a knee. I don't know if that was a scheduled thing, if a setback thing, whatever the case may be there.
He wasn't going to play this week either way.
He wasn't going to play this week either way, but hopefully he's able to get some practice in, at least here in this 3-week window. Kyle Duggar, friend of the program here, did not practice today with a hand injury.
That's news, huh?
That's news. I wouldn't call that great, and that's certainly something to keep an eye on tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with Jabril Peppers, but I've been interested to see more of him, but the fact that we haven't might be telling. I don't know. Duggar's been a success since he's been here.
Certainly has.
As many tight ends as you're going to see on the field against these guys, I mean, I think Duggar is pretty important.
I would concur, and you're already just thin in the secondary, thin at safety, thin at defensive back.
A lot of moving parts there.
A lot of moving parts there. The entire season, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you started without Deshaun Elliott, then he was back, then you lost him, you moved Ramsey. Slay has been a big key, and now off the roster. I mean, there's been a lot of...
Peppers and Duggars were both not on the roster. They've never been to Latrobe.
Yeah, right. At one point, he's no longer on the roster. So
Killebrew, I mean,
Killebrew, less moving parts, the better. Joey Porter Jr. limited today with an elbow. We'll keep an eye on that. I hope that's just kind of some load management stuff, and out of precaution. And we don't need you in a full week of practice. Just be ready to go for Sunday.
These are Thursday reports. These aren't Wednesdays.
But these are Thursday reports. Ben Skronik limited with a shoulder. Good news, Aaron Rodgers, full practice participant today on this Thursday. So that is fantastic. Patrick Queen limited today with that glute injury that he's been dealing with. So at least he was out there, but in a limited capacity. And
you would think he'll be champing at the bit.
Champing, not chomping. Champing. Right. We had this debate the other day.
Play the Birdies, his old team.
And then let's see here. Jalen Ramsey, it looks like, got a veteran rest day, did not practice. So
okay. Remember Watt there was something yesterday with Watt.
Yes. He did not practice yesterday with a toe, but was listed as a full practice participant today.
I knew there was one big name guy I couldn't remember.
Yes.
So Duggar's the one I guess to keep an eye on that's new point, or right.
So maybe not so good news with him, or at least something to monitor there, and maybe potentially better news with Pierre than we expected.
Yeah, okay. That's good things to take away.
Keep an eye on Joey Porter Jr., too, obviously.
I haven't been keeping up with Ravens practice reports either.
I was just going to say, I've been trying to find one here and haven't been able to, so I don't know.
Maybe in the next 2 segments.
Yeah, maybe before we get out of here we will. I have the Ravens Wednesday report, but not their one from today.
Did we
Thursday.
go over Wednesday?
We did not.
Just give me the highlights real quick. The clip notes.
Lamar Jackson was limited with an ankle. That's important. That's the first Wednesday practice he's had since September.
As I say, I don't think he ever practices on Wednesday since he's been back.
Yes.
Right.
So
but they had longer rest.
They did as well.
Yeah,
yes. The 10-day rest from playing on Thanksgiving against the Bengals. Rashard Bateman, full participant with that ankle injury. Tavius Robinson, limited. He's in that 21-day window to return from IR. Same with Ardarius Washington, the safety, with his Achilles injury.
I think there's some optimism he could be back.
Which would be important for them. Devontae Walker, wide receiver, was a full participant with his groin injury. And then Nate Wiggins, the corner, limited with a foot.
I would keep an eye on Wiggins. Wiggins is one of my favorite young corners in this league.
He's a good player.
Yeah, really long, fast, man coverage, modern-day corner. And he left that game, so keep an eye on Wiggins.
There is what we know about the Ravens from yesterday. If we get any newer, updated information before we get up out of here this evening, we will share that with you. But obviously tomorrow we'll have the big kind of Friday, who's out, who's questionable, who's probable, all that good stuff on tomorrow's show.
2 reasonably healthy teams all in all, though.
I was going to say that
it'd be nice to have Harmon, but
other than Harmon and
Broderick Jones is out. I mean, but we knew that, the IR guys,
But for Baltimore too, for injury report that was very lengthy at times this season. There's only 5 or 6 names.
Yeah, they're in pretty good shape for early December.
They're in, I think, the best shape that they've been in a while, and in pretty good shape overall for early in December.
And I'm not sure if we talked about this, but this 10 days for Lamar worries me, because watching that game some of his movement and running and athleticism was better in spurts this past week than it was any of the last 4. Like, he might be trending the right direction, getting healthy, and maybe 10 days is the remedy he needs to look like himself again. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a possibility, you know?
Don't love that.
No.
But I also think you might be onto something.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it could be. You don't want to be the team where, now he looks like Lamar again. Great, that was our week. You know?
Let's not go down that route. Matt, it's time to check in on our Steelers 2025 differential spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We'll start with turnover differential. Last week, the Steelers, for the second straight week, were neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Two
in the first half,
turnovers, 2 takeaways. That puts them at +8 for the season. They were neutral against Chicago as well. Let's see here. Where is my explosive pass play? I got to scroll to the right, Uhler.
Not good.
It is currently -39 on the season. You were -4 in the explosive play differential against Baltimore, -5 in the run differential. You actually were +1 in the pass differential, but that might be just because
late in the game, and they never threw.
Buffalo never threw. They were just run, and having a lot of success and gashing you doing it. So on the year as a whole, in the run game, remember, explosive play in the run game, 10 or more yards.
Mm-hmm.
Pass game, 20 or more yards. -13 in the run game, -26 in the pass game. You add those two numbers up, -39 on the season.
It's a big problem. I mean, to me, it's right there with the time of possession thing that we talk about over and over and over. But we don't talk about the explosive play differential nearly enough because both sides of the ball are to blame. You know, it's not an explosive offense, running or passing, compared to the league, and they've allowed too many explosives on defense in both phases. So it's a hard one to say how you fix it, but it's hurting them.
And that is, I think, even more concerning in the scope of the time of possession conversation.
If you've one or the other, great.
A lot of times, if you look at the best offenses in the NFL, in high-level college football, they don't have the best time of possession difference.
Sure.
But that's because their offense is scoring in 4 or 5 plays.
Right. You're hitting home runs.
These Oregon offenses, and, that just boop, 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 right down the field, touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then their defense is back out there.
Right.
But that is not the case as it relates to the Steelers, which I think makes it even a little more perplexing. Teams are hitting explosives on you, which means they're having quicker drives. You are not, which means you're having to elongate drives and work your way down the field. And despite all of that, time of possession still a real negative.
Yeah, and it's funny. I heard a baseball analogy that stuck with me with this whole conversation is time of possession's like that average hitter. You know, that the guy that hits first in the line every year, gets on base a ton, a lot of walks, small ball.
He'll lean in and take one off the shoulder when the time's right.
But explosive is the home run hitter, So I wouldn't mind 9 home run hitters in my lineup, and if I have some strikeouts, so be it. I wouldn't mind 9 big-time average hitters in my lineup either. Now, it's nice to have a blend of all, get the guy on base and then hit a home run.
But I'll take Aaron Judge 9 times through the lineup.
Right. But right now, the Steelers aren't getting either.
Exactly right.
You're getting the 240 second baseman.
They don't have anybody slapping, singles into the left field gap, and they don't have anybody hitting them 500 feet.
And it's not just the offense, it's both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Yeah, because the defense on the field too much, and they're allowing too many explosives.
Into the Allegheny or into the Mon? TV? Which one? When people jack home runs at PNC Park and it goes into the water, that's the Mon, isn't it? Or is it the Allegheny? I think it's the Mon. Not sure. Our resident stat guy will get on it for us. But regardless, you get what I'm saying. You need to slap some singles into left field. You need to hit some.
The Allegheny.
Is it the Allegheny?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to hit some into the Allegheny. And
took us way too long to figure that out.
Did take us way too long to figure that one out. But doing too much here at one time. Explosive differential, -39.
Yeah,
rough
brutal,
way to make a living. In your last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, you've only won the explosive play differential once, and that was in the win at home against Cincinnati.
Okay. And explosive pass differential is the worst of them all, right?
Yes, -26 through 12 games. So basically a little over 2 times a game.
The big plays.
Which for pass is pretty significant.
It is. So you're allowing 2 big pass plays per game more. That means at
getting
least 20. It could be an 80. Or,
that means if you're getting 2, they're getting 4.
Right.
If you're getting 3, they're getting 5. If you're getting none, they're still getting 2.
Now, sack differential is still decent.
Sack differential is still decent. You're plus 12 on the year. That's one of the better sack differentials in the national, like the Steelers' turnover number. It doesn't blow your doors off, but it's one of the better numbers in the league.
Best. Yeah.
What concerns me, though, Matt, now is it's now been 3 straight weeks. So
we haven't felt it lately, though.
It's been 4 weeks. The last time the Steelers won the sack differential was actually in that game Sunday Night Football against the Chargers at SoFi Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They were neutral in that department against Cincinnati, and then they lost it at Chicago and lost it against Buffalo.
Yeah, so it's not trending the way you want.
It's not. And so far this year, the Steelers have played 12 games, right? Simple math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those, they've lost the sack differential.
When they've won it huge.
So I was just going to say, it's almost like feast or famine.
It's cluster, yeah.
Which, hey, when it happens against the Colts and it happens against the Patriots, awesome.
Awesome, right. That's why you beat good teams, right.
It's like the stock market up and down as opposed to just steady gains.
I know. And this is a trend across the league, but just more consistency with this team in almost every facet of football would be wonderful.
Would be outstanding.
We've been using the whack-a-mole conversation.
Outstanding. 2 other things that you track in here that I think are important. Not obviously as big as those 3, but still deserve just a minute of conversation before we get out of here. 4th down differential. Mm-hmm. The Steelers are neutral in that regard.
Right. Again, I count that as a turnover. Yeah.
Yes. Like going forward, that I should have explained that better to the audience.
Yeah.
Going forward on 4th down possession downs. How often your defense stops it and gets off the field, how often your offense converts it an extended drive.
And that's not
Steelers are 0. They're
You didn't explain that exactly how I track it, to be honest with you. Those are just failed attempts. It's not your percentage of like
Gotcha.
If you made 2 fourths and I was 1 for 2, that's not bad. That's a bad example. But I mean, it's how many failed ones, because that's when you actually, because I treat it as a turnover. You hand the ball to the other team.
So it's not a +1 for getting it.
You don't get anything for making it.
It's just a minus.
Same with field goals.
Makes sense.
I'm expecting you to make them.
Makes sense.
And if you don't, you hand the ball to the other team, often in a bad situation. Yeah.
In midfield.
Right.
Missed field goal differential, you mentioned it there, which was a huge number for the Steelers last year, I think, right? It was
I think this is kind of an
+9
interesting conversation. Yeah.
+1 right now.
Yeah. And it's not that Boz has gotten bad.
Exactly right.
Right.
It's just that they haven't had the field goal luck of teams missing them against them like they did last year.
The other thing, tee, and I've been meaning to bring this up, is
And Prater did miss an extra point,
we
by the way,
just
on
bring
Sunday.
up Boz's name so much less than we used to. Like, he might be your best player. Now, I'm not saying he should be out there more. Like, it's not up to him when he goes out there or the situations. And frankly, they're scoring a lot more touchdowns. So part of it's a good thing, but it's also weird to me this year that one of the things that you've done best, you're not doing a lot of. You know what I mean? Which isn't necessarily bad, because I'd rather score touchdowns than trot him out there in the 20-yard line.
No doubt.
You know,
we've said a million times, it's a testament to him, but we don't want Chris Boswell to be our team MVP.
Right.
Because that means you're kicking
rare
too many field
that we
goals.
talk about him anymore. You know, last year you talk about him all the time.
It's a very
last 5 years you talk about him all the time.
Hadn't thought
90% good. But we don't talk about him much.
Hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Had not thought about that, but you are spot on.
Yeah, it's one of the things
all
you're
in kind
best
of how
at,
you
yeah.
perceive it.
Right.
But
if I have a bunch of aces in my hand and I can't use this one, again, it's not a bad thing, but right.
No, it might be like, if it's not snowing, you're not using your snow plow. That's not a bad thing.
But I have the best plow in the
I
land,
have the best snow plow in Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Matt, let's get to our last commercial break. We'll cross some T's, dot some I's on the other side. We've also got a couple tweets to get to before we get up out of here. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, final segment when we return. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment here of The Drive on a Thursday. And Matt, I know we talked about this more so yesterday. We kind of spent like a segment and a half deep diving into all the different playoff scenarios in the AFC and the NFC.
That's a fun wormhole to go down.
Especially this time of year.
It is.
When the road's narrow, brother. And
strangely, the Steelers,
it's at the forefront of the conversation.
Yeah, but theirs isn't as wormy. It's like beat the Ravens.
Great point.
Do better than that team.
As it often is with these teams, 2 dogs, 1 bone.
Yep. One of you two are going to go.
Like I said to Labs, it's not, who's going to be the 1 or the 2 seed and have home field advantage and that kind of stuff, but still.
One of you's probably staying home and one of you's probably going to the playoffs and see how it goes,
Plenty on the line. Steelers-Ravens, one of those massive, massive playoff implication games this weekend. Texans and Chiefs, massive, massive playoff implication game this weekend.
Yes.
But there is a third in this Week 14 slate, Matt, and it is tonight at 8:15. I'm very excited for this evening.
I am too. I think it's a really, really good game.
Leaving here and going to Robinson to meet my wife and my 2 daughters. We're going to have some dinner.
Nice.
And we're taking presents to Stuff-A-Bus.
Cool.
Our friends Mikey and Big Bob and Justin,
I urge everyone to check it out.
Justin.
Right, yeah.
They do a great thing every Christmas, Stuff-A-Bus. People donate toys. They load up like 30-some, 40-some school buses.
I've heard it's insane.
It's insane.
Like the mass of it all, yeah.
A lot of times, Matt, I think people like to talk up charity stuff to feel better about themselves and pat themselves on the back.
I just gave the charity, right?
But I am not doing this to like carry water for the company, okay?
Yeah.
But
it's a good thing.
But what the our friends at the DVE Morning Show, Pursuta, Bauman, Abby, Bill Crawford until recently when he left the show, what they do every year, raising over $1 million with the Radiothon for Children's Hospital is incredible.
That's so awesome.
They raise over $1 million for Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh every year. It's incredible. And on the KISS side of things, Mikey, Big Bob, Tall Kathy, our guy Justin, Dan Quinlan, they stuff 40-some, 50-some buses full of toys to give to underprivileged kids. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And my girls are at the age now where I thought it would be fun. I was like, sweetheart, like, let's go. Last night we went out and got
they probably understand now.
They understand. And like we had to explain to them, like, you are not buying these toys for yourself. You are buying these for kids who can't afford it, who get nothing for Christmas. And it's a good conversation to have with them.
You're lucky enough that you get stuff for Christmas.
And so we let them each go and pick out a couple things that they want to give to the kids for Christmas. And you know me, I got a football, a basketball, and a soccer ball to throw in there because you got to get some sports in there. For the kids, right? So yeah, we're going over there to drop off at Stuff-A-Bus, but I'm excited to get home, put them down to bed, and watch another massive playoff implication game tonight in Detroit.
This is close to a playoff game.
It almost is like a pseudo playoff game.
Right. People say that stuff too early in the season, but this is
about as early as you can get for one of those.
Yeah.
Dallas at Detroit, 6-5-1 against 7-5. One of these teams, whoever wins, is going to have a chance at a wild card. Whoever loses is going to be really swimming up creek without a paddle.
Dallas is super close to eliminated.
Especially Detroit favored by 3.5 at home.
Wow.
I realize they're at home, but that's a big number.
I'm picking Dallas to win. I
think
they're playing better.
In the NFL.
I think they're playing as well as anyone in the league.
And I mean, I say that like the Patriots have won 10 straight.
I know, yeah.
The
Denver's
Bears,
winning a bunch, but I mean, right. I mean, if you line, I just think they can line up with anyone how they're playing right now in a big way. And what's crazy about the Cowboys is getting some dudes back from injury, trade deadline. They basically added 6 new starters on defense. 2 linebackers, Quinn and Williams, a safety, a corner. Like that's nuts. And they're all playing well. And might be too little, too late, but I look at Detroit and think interior of their O-line's banged up and ain't what it used to be. That's why they wanted Ragnow to come back.
No doubt.
And now the Cowboys have 3 big-time D
that's
tackles.
A great point. That's a, as Max Starks would say,
yeah,
barbecue chicken matchup there for that Dallas defensive line.
And they're just going to keep rotating them in. I don't think St. Brown's playing. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Correct. I believe you are.
Laporta's
I believe he's been ruled out. Yeah.
I mean, like, they're pretty lean when they get the ball. And their offense hasn't been as good with this coordinator as last year's to begin with. And the Lions D's fine, but it's not great. They don't rush the passer super well other than Hutchinson.
It's fine, but it's not what it was last year. Kind of like the offense.
Dealing with Pickens and Lamb right now is a nightmare. And Dak is really, really good. They got a lot invested in their O-line, and they're starting to gel. They have a young O-line like the Steelers.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of high picks there, and it's starting to I'm starting to see the vision come together. I think Dallas is clearly the better team, and there's no rest disadvantage.
Sounds crazy. If you would have told us 2 months ago we're going to be saying the Cowboys are a better team than the Lions, people would have been like, what are those guys having before the show?
Now, I'm sure it's not going to be an easy place to play.
No doubt.
Thursday night,
desperate
Detroit,
game, jacked up. Yeah, but hey, for Dallas, you're not traveling to Michigan in December and playing an outdoor game. You know?
Right.
It's nice. It's not going to Lambeau and trying to get the ball to pick.
It's not a short week on the road. You played on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
No, I think Dallas wins.
One tweet here from Tyler. All right, because we got like 60 seconds till we got to go, and this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. So I figured it would play quickly here. Tyler tweets, "Not a Steelers question, but with the Formula One season coming to an end this weekend, it reminded me a couple months ago, Matt mentioned that he watches it or at least loved the series on Netflix. I'm curious if Matt has a favorite Formula One team or driver. Thanks, guys. Love the show."
Kinda, but it's funny. My son, we've been talking about my son a lot lately. He texted me yesterday. He's going to be because he's super into it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
UK hoops and Formula One.
Yeah. So we talked about it a ton when he's home. You know, he watches it steadily. And he's like, "Dad, this is going to be the best F1 race we've ever seen." And I'm like, "They race on Sunday, Mike. I can't watch it." So really, the last couple months, I am totally out of the loop. But Max Verstappen is Pat Mahomes, dude. He's Iceman. He is a badass.
I love it. I'm not into Formula One at all.
I don't root for anybody.
I'm not saying I dislike it. In fact,
it's very cool.
It's kind of the opposite. I know I told you this story. I very loosely followed international soccer when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, me and my buddies would Saturday and Sunday mornings, there's no football on till noon or 1 o'clock. We'd be like, well, what do we want? Yeah, we'll throw on the game, throw on the Manchester United and Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And
that's you start rooting for a team.
That's how I really started getting into it. And I'd be working the 6 a.m. shift at the radio station in Morgantown. And at 7 a.m., there's a Tottenham and Fulham game. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's live sports. I'm going to throw it on. And I got hooked. Like, I love the English Premier League. And I know
and they play at weird times.
I know
F1's at crazy times. They could be in Belgium or they could be in
Monaco.
They're all over the place, right?
I know that if I tried dipping my toe into the Formula One pool, I'd end up cannonballing in.
It's cool.
Like, I would love it. And I just got between my job and football and everything else and the Mountaineers, all the stuff I do there and like to do there.
I have so many questions I don't understand about it, but still, I love it. Yeah.
I have a feeling, like when people are like, I can't have a cigarette. I've got an addictive personality. I'll get hooked. That's me with F1's like the pack of cigarettes that I'm like, that looks tempting, but I know if I have one, I'll have 100.
That's why I don't golf. It's 100% why I don't golf. I have an addictive personality. I can't play 18 holes and spend all that money every Saturday, Sunday, and every day off I have. It's exactly why I don't golf.
Formula One is my country club membership. Maybe one day, but not today. Fun show today. Enjoyed it. Thanks to Labs for joining us. Big shout out, as always, to our video producer, Tyler V, Mr. TV, for making sure we look handsome on the YouTube. And a big thank you to Matt Williamson, who, Mr. F1, Mr. UK Hoops. It's all happening in the Williamson household.
A lot going on.
Big show tomorrow on Friday to get you ready for Armageddon. We'll do 5-Star Friday. We'll talk to Missy Matthews. We'll go around the gambit of the NFL for a huge Week 14 across the league. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.